في عام 1998 أطلق استوديو فوكس فيلم الحصار الذي يتمحور حول ضابط مكتب الاستخبارات الأمريكية FBI ومساعده اللبناني الأصل اللذين يحاولان أن يضعا حداً لعمليات إرهابية شلت مدينة نيويورك أشعلها عناصر تنظيم إسلامي بعد خطف وكالة المخابرات الأمريكية CIA لزعيمهم. ويقع صراع بين ضابط مكتب الاستخبارات الذي يصر على الالتزام بالقانون وجنرال في الجيش يفرض حصاراً مرعباً على أحياء نيويورك العربية ويزج بالآلاف منهم في مراكز اعتقال ويعذب المشتبه بهم. ألف قصة الحصار الصحفي والأديب والكاتب المسرحي لورنس رايت الذي درس اللغة الإنجليزية في الجامعة الأمريكية في القاهرة عام 1969، وبعد عودته إلى الولايات المتحدة كرس جل وقته في كتابة مقالات وكتب عن الشرق الأوسط، وقرر كتابة رواية الحصار عندما سمع عن ضابط FBI يدعى جون أونيل ومساعده اللبناني الأصل علي صوفان اللذين كانا يلاحقان تنظيم القاعدة وزعيمه أسامة بن لادن.
You kind of prophesied September 11th,
yeah.
But when the film came out, it offended a lot of Arab Americans.
Yeah.
Do you understand that?
I was mad about that reaction because I spent a lot of time talking to people at CARE and other Arab American consulting. We actually paid consultants that then turned around and attacked us. And, the advice was, don't make it Arabs. Well, which ethnic group would you like for us to point out? I was writing about real events. I had researched this. I was, writing about, where would this come from? And spent some time talking in New York with members of the FBI. And I heard about this young Arab American FBI agent who was undercover, and they wouldn't let me interview him. And that was Ali Soufan. And I wrote the role that Tony Shalhoub played. Tony Shalhoub, a Lebanese American, was maybe the first Arab American hero in an American movie. And nobody paid any attention to that. I was celebrating an Arab American. And I felt that it was...
It's not that, that's actually that he was a positive character.
Yeah.
But the problem was the idea that terrorism springs from the Arab community. It's like rounding up Italians because the mafia committed a crime in downtown.
Or let's stop right there and think about all the movies that were made about the mafia. They made them about Italians because the Italians were in the mafia. America was under attack. By the time the movie came out, there were 224 dead people in East Africa. There's another bombing that happened that same month in August of 1998 in Cape Town, South Africa, Planet Hollywood. Because Bruce Willis was a partial owner of that restaurant chain and he was in the movie, The Siege. 2 people were killed, a little girl lost her leg, and this was, some Islamist group claiming credit. It's fine to complain about stereotypes, but there's also the fact that these real events are happening and that there are radical Islamists that are attacking America, and it's perfectly fine and fair to depict it in a movie. And I was not stereotyping. I understand that, just classifying all Arabs as terrorists. But this is a movie.
Did you feel vindicated when September 11
No, God,
occurred?
no. What I felt was what creeped me out about the siege is that, it was prophetic. And I didn't mean to prophesy. I just started thinking logically, what would happen if terrorism came to America? And, when people said after 9/11, wow, it looks like a movie, I thought, wow, it looks like my movie. And it was very unsettling to me. And that's one of the motivations I had to go out and write my book. I wanted to find, now that I'd already sort of imagined what could happen, I wanted to go out and find out why it happened.
كرس لورنس 5 أعوام أجرى خلالها أكثر من 600 مقابلة في الشرق الأوسط والولايات المتحدة من أجل كتابة الأبراج المشيدة الذي يصبر الحركات الإسلامية منذ تأسيس حركة الإخوان المسلمين على يد حسن البنا، مرورا بمفكرها الأبرز سيد قطب الذي ألهم نشوء حركات جهادية متطرفة في مختلف أنحاء العالم الإسلامي، ومنها تنظيم القاعدة الذي نفذ ضربات 11 من سبتمبر. ويعزو لورنس ظهور هذه الحركات إلى الأنظمة الاستبدادية في الشرق الأوسط.
One thing missing, I felt you didn't touch much on it in the book, the role of the CIA in creating Al-Qaeda.
That's not really true, Sam. What what
I
the
mean,
way
you saw
that
the Mujahideen being hosted by Ronald Reagan in the White House.
that's not the same thing as supporting Al Qaeda.
I'm talking about the early 80s.
Yeah,
when they were
the
fighting,
Mujahideen we
communism.
did support, but the money that went specifically, it went through Pakistan. Hamid Gul was the man in Pakistan who handed out the money, but he did not give money to Al Qaeda. He did not give money to Bin Laden. You can say that the CIA employed the Mujahideen, parts of which became the Taliban. And certainly, we used that in order to drive the Soviets out of Afghanistan. If the CIA and America has culpability in the Middle East, it is in supporting the tyrants, not the Muslim Brotherhood or the Islamists. And my observation about the rise of Islam in general in the Middle East is a response to tyranny. And in that sense, I think that the United States should have done more to try to promote democracy. But the truth is, when we did that, it was rejected.
There's another issue that you overlooked about the rallying cause for those Islamists was Israel. Even the tyrants, they always used Israel or the occupation as a rallying cause for their presence.
I do think that Israel, the creation of Israel, did have a profound political effect. Israel has become an indispensable tool for tyranny in the Middle East.
And for extremism.
Yes, and if we were to resolve that problem, I think that it would have, untold beneficial effects for the whole region. And because it would no longer be used as a foil by the worst elements in those societies. I don't see very much prospect for it right now.
You also visited Gaza.
Yeah.
And you witnessed the misery there.
Yes.
I didn't see it in the book. That misery gave birth to Hamas.
Yeah.
And there is no tyrants in Gaza. There's occupation.
Plenty of misery. Yeah, it's, well, Sam, I do what I can.
ترجم الأبراج المشيدة إلى 24 لغة وحاز على جوائز عديدة منها البوليتزر وتحول إلى مرجع للسي في حربها ضد الإرهاب وعرض كمسرحية في نيويورك ثم كفيلم وثائقي من إخراج أليكس جيبني ورفض رايت عروض هوليوود لتحويله إلى فيلم درامي خوفا من تحوير حقائقه إلى أن التقى بعميل المخابرات اللبناني الأصل علي صوفان وعرضا معا على جيبني أن يطرح الكتاب في مسلسل تلفزيوني لكن خلافا للكتاب الذي يتناول سيرة أسامة بن لادن وأيمن الظواهري يتمحور المسلسل حول عميلي الاف بي اي أونيل وصوفان اللذين ألهما قصة الحصار.
In order to make it in America, we'd probably do most of it in English, and we wanted to focus on a story that Americans could relate to.
The vast majority of Americans have no idea where these guys come from.
Right.
What drives them? Why? They keep asking, why do they hate us?
I'm not sure that the American public would have been ready until now to see human depictions of Al Qaeda members.
But it is quite shocking when Richard Clark comes to Condoleezza Rice and he says, okay, Al Qaeda has committed this crime and I have a plan to go after them. And she says, what about Saddam Hussein? As if she's not interested in the criminals, she just want to go after.
And we're basing this on what we know. We're not making that part of it up. I think part of what we're trying to do is there's so many different sources. People have written bits and pieces of the story, and we've done a lot of research. And not just the reading, but I took the writers to Washington to meet a lot of people that had been in the CIA, took them to the FBI, and had them actually just interview these people that they would be writing about. One of the things that's driving this, I think, is that nobody's been held accountable for the failures that led to the failure to stop the plot. And had the CIA and the FBI cooperated, I'm convinced that 9/11 would never have happened.
المثير هو أن أحداث مسلسل الأبراج المشيدة لا تختلف عن أحداث فيلم الحصار رغم أن رايت استلهم الأول من الواقع بينما كان الثاني من صنع خياله وذلك ما دفع سلطات الأمن الأمريكية بعد أحداث 11 من سبتمبر إلى تجنيد كتاب سيناريو من هوليوود لكتابة سيناريوهات تتكهن بعمليات إرهابية مستقبلية. فهل يمكن للأفلام أن تتنبأ بالمستقبل؟
حسام عاصي، BBC.